Shavua Tov, this is Rabbi Kovacs, and Mishnah Yomi is continuing in chapter 8 of Pesachim, Mishnah Vav, Ha'onen. Onen is someone who, God forbid, lost a relative that day. And even if an onen is not personally involved in the kavura, in the burial, in which case they'll definitely become tamei met and be unable to offer the Pesach, rabbinically, the sages said that on the day of the relative's death, the onen cannot partake in the Korban Pesach. And the Mishnah continues with the list, Hamfakeach et hagal, someone who's clearing off rubble. Now, this rubble is a collapsed house, and there's somebody trapped underneath, and they don't know if that person is alive or dead, so this is a rescue mission. We mentioned back in Masechet Shabbat that this was mutter and even a mitzvah to do so on Shabbat, to rescue people, even though it involves a malacha. The Mishnah continues, and also someone who was promised to be released from prison, or a sick person or elderly person, and right now they're able to eat a kazayit, but maybe the elderly person will lose his dentures, or the sick person will become more sick and be unable to eat a kazayit later. We can include these in the group, even though they're in a situation where right now they might not be able to eat the Korban Pesach. In the case of the onen, he's an onen deraita on the day, but rabbinically the night following as well. But the rabbis relaxed it if he had not become tamei, but he might become tamei to his relative, and someone who's clearing the heap of rubble, the person underneath might turn out to be dead, in which case they were on top of this person, assuming it's a pile of rubble and not a long strip. The Mefarshim say someone who's promised to be released from jail, they might not release him. The Mefarshim say this is talking about a non-Jewish jail. So it's interesting, somewhere near Yerushalayim, at some point, the Mishnah was considering the possibility that the non-Jewish authorities had locked up Jews, or maybe they were holding Jews for ransom. And it's interesting to note that jail is really not a Jewish concept. If you look through the Chumash and you look through the Shas, you'll find that Jews do not typically put people in jail. They get lashes, they bring karbanot. If it's something really bad, there's karet, there's mita. But jail is not considered a form of punishment or restitution. That's really but something you do in Jewish law typically. Now the Mishnah continues, Kulon, on all of these people, we don't put them in a group by themselves, or we wouldn't have a Korban Pesach for the guys who are on the rescue mission and clearing rubble of someone who might be dead. Because if it turns out they're all tamei met, we have a big problem. If these people did become actually unable to consume Korban Pesach, between also Pesach Sheni. So at the time that they slaughtered the Korban Pesach in the afternoon, these people weren't tamei, or they were able to eat, or whatever the situation was, so they're not chayav to bring a Pesach Sheni, even if it turns out they could later on that they could not eat it. Except the people clearing off the rubble, the rescue mission, shu tamei mitchiloto. If it turns out the person underneath has passed away, has expired, then they were on top of the person. They were an ohel. They were like a tent over the dead body, and they're all tamei met. So dafka, they'd be required to bring Pesach Sheni, because someone who's tamei met is nidche, is pushed off to Pesach Sheni. Great. Onto Mishnah Zayin. En shochatin to Pesach l'yachid. We do not slaughter a Pesach for one person. Divrei Rabbi Yehuda, according to Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yossi matter. Rabbi Yossi says if Mary has a little lamb, and Mary is big, and the lamb is really a little lamb, then in theory, yes, the Mary could eat her entire lamb for Korban Pesach, and that would be okay. Now the Mishnah adds the converse case. Even if you had 100 individuals in the group for this Korban Pesach, but they can't eat a kazayit. They're not well enough to do so. We do not slaughter this Pesach even for 100 people. You need to have people who are fit to eat this actual Korban Pesach. We don't make a group to do Pesach Seder, to have the Korban Pesach, which is women and servants and children. Now the concern here is indecency or frivolity, or it's not going to be a serious thing. It might come to be Avera also, but it's not really a Pesach Seder without the whole family, or enough of a family, or family and friends, where there's men, women, children, anashim, nashim v'taf, there's elders, there's young people. It's a great union to have older generations and younger generations together on Pesach. Interestingly, the Mefarshim here say you could technically have a group of all women. That would be something that's allowed. We're not worried that they're going to mess up their Pesach Seder. Yashar kochachem, be well.